All right, guys, this is Kirk with DFS Bros. This is going to be the first segment that I call entitled In the Mind of Nick. So, knowing how Nick plays DFS, every game that he likes is going to be like an 80-point shootout where both quarterbacks are needed, both top weapons are needed, and pretty much you can't play anybody under like 5,000. So,
Yeah.
I'm just going to let him kind of talk through this game because I know it's one of his favorites, and he can't hold back his excitement. Look at him. So I don't know how much knowledge you're going to get from this, but it's going to be a great watch.
So
So if
first,
Nick, you could actually talk through your thoughts.
first you need to lock in DeAndre Hopkins into your captain. He had 20 points in the first half, kind of disappeared, only got you 8 in the second half. I think you should have had more. Tyler Lockett with that 56 points, you need to lock him in. And since you have their two main weapons, you have to have Kyler and Russ to stack with them. So you see here you have about 400 remaining. So with the 400 remaining, I'm just going to break the rules of hacking into DraftKings. I'm going to put in Christian Kirk. So I'm doing a double stack both ways, actually. If you look at my lineup, it's the optimal lineup for a DraftKings contest. So you have Russell Wilson stacked with DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett. You have Kyler Murray stacked with DeAndre Hopkins and Christian Kirk. It's perfect. You have the double stack. You have the run back on both sides. You still have $18,000 remaining for your salary. I think it fits perfectly. Let's just go ahead and enter this and see what happens. Lineup exceeds salary limit.
All right.
Hey, everyone. Welcome back to DFS Bros. We're doing something a little bit different this week for the Thursday night game. We really love the matchup between Seattle and Arizona, so we thought we'd make a video explaining our process of creating a lineup for Showdown this week. Before we get into it, I just want to congratulate Kirk and his wife for their new baby, and welcome back. We're glad to have you back, and let's get into the slate, man.
Awesome. It's wonderful being a dad. There's no greater feeling.
All right. So what were your first thoughts on this slate when you first looked at the player pool?
So first time I looked at this game, I was like, me and Nick have to do a video.
Right.
It's just an awesome matchup after seeing the game last time and just the shootout. And I mean, just amazing. Luck, granted, it was on the main slate, even though it was the 8 o'clock game. Kind of cost me a lot of money because I faded the game. That was the week I scored 248 as my main lineup across the board. Very profitable week. But if I just would have pivoted from one player to Lockett, it would have been a huge.
Almost retired.
Yeah, it would have been a retired week. But Kane looked back at things. Very fortunate that week. It definitely helped out with the baby coming. So
right.
We'll go ahead. My thoughts on this slate is everyone's going to gravitate that it's going to be just this amazing shootout, and rightfully it could. But we're getting back these running backs that are a lot healthier. It's going to be a much slower paced game, I think, than last time. You're not going to have all the overtime points, overtime yards, the overtime field goals from the kickers, and just the two quarterbacks with their running backs banged up, just relentlessly throwing the ball. Now, I still think that it's going to be a big shootout. It's got a 57-point over-under, probably shoot up to maybe 59 by kickoff. But Arizona actually plays much slower on the road. Actually, five plays on their offensive side slower. And when they have Drake, they play even slower than that at 7. So you're looking at a team that plays relatively about 71 times plays a game. And now they're going to play around 64, 65. And Seattle, when they're at home, they like to control the ball a lot more. Most of the time because they're up. And so they play a lot slower too. So we're seeing the roles reversed, where when Arizona was at home, they play a way faster pace. And when Seattle's on the road, they play way faster. So I think that's going to be a much slower game. We're going to see the two teams try to keep the balls out of the other quarterback's hands, two MVP caliber quarterbacks.
Yeah, I agree. For the first time in a while, I think a quarterback running back stack is viable with Russell Wilson and Chris Carson. If Carson is back, we've seen a few times this season of Russ throwing Carson a screen in the red zone and Carson running it in for the touchdown. So very rarely that's negative. Very rarely it's positively correlated, but I think this time it could be positive. And we saw, and don't get me wrong, this Seattle offense is on fire literally all year. But since Carson has been out and been hurt, it just doesn't feel the same. I was mentioning to Kirk the first 3 weeks of the season, Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf both exploded and had great, almost 20-point games the first 3 weeks each week. But ever since week 4, they've been negatively correlated. When Tyler Lockett goes off, DK Metcalf hasn't. When DK Metcalf has gone off, Tyler Lockett hasn't gone off. Or like last week, both of them just crapped the bed, and we had a bad week from the Seattle offense for the first time in a long time.
The Rams can do that with that secondary of theirs.
Right.
Very talented.
Right. But I think it could be a repeat of the week 7 matchup. I love both these offenses a lot. And I have sort of an idea of where I would like to have my build. I think you need at least one quarterback. I think you need DeAndre Hopkins. I think you need one of the 2 big receivers from Seattle. And then once you fit 3 of those 5 big pieces in, try to fit in a lot of the smaller guys to see if you can make it work. Obviously, everyone is priced up really high this slate because of how high-powered these offenses are. So, Kirk, do you want to get into making a lineup?
Yeah, we can go through all the players and kind of give our opinions on everything.
All right, so I'll let you lead the way because I think you've done more homework on this slate than I have. I'm in the middle of finals and studying for finals for college right now, so I've been pretty busy. So, Kirk, who is your favorite captain slot for this slate?
So I'm going with Captain Kirk. Just a couple of notes on Kirk.
Christian Kirk?
Yep, Captain Kirk.
He had 2 touchdowns against them.
Yeah. So they're right now, Seattle is really bad against wide receivers 1 and wide receivers 2. They're funneling everything to the outside. They're making sure as you can see, if you look on the DK screen, you see all the green everywhere except for against running backs. So they're pretty much covering the middle of the field. Seattle's not allowing that much to slot receivers this year. So just looking at wide receiver 2s against them, Reynolds dropped 17. Great game. Before that, Brown had 18, Ayuk 23, and Christian Kirk 21. And we're seeing Kirk get a lot more usage, and people aren't talking about him because of how elite Hopkins is. Yeah. Kirk was a guy that was a sleeper on everyone's list. He reminds me of kind of like Deontay Johnson right now. Everyone was high on him, slow start. Everyone's not ready to jump on yet. And I'm going to be that guy who's been jumping on when he had his 22-point game, his 20-point game, his 26-point game, plays like that. So, like, if you look at his last 6, he did have that dud with 6. But then, like I said, 3 20-plus point games, and then a 10 and a 12. And they're not going to kill your slate. You have him at captain, it probably will with as many points. But just that upside, if he drops 20 at his price tag, it's going to let you get that extra guy in, or maybe get both quarterbacks in.
Right. I would agree with that too. So with our next spot, I think we should just go ahead and smash in Murray or Wilson. I think it makes more sense to smash in Kyler Murray into this since we have Kyler as captain. If Kyler throws a touchdown to Kirk, you get the extra points from the stack. So do you want to go stacking Kyler Murray?
Yeah.
All right. So that brought down our average salary remaining down a lot. So I think we should go cheap here just to get a basis of where we need to look at next.
All right. Your professional opinion.
Yes, sir.
Professional or unprofessional opinion. So do you think Lockett plays? Anytime I hear knee, I'm instantly go to no, short week. He's too key. This team's going to make playoffs. It's just.
I don't know. Didn't participate in Tuesday's practice.
Yeah.
Peach Kerber cleared Monday.
He did a knee sprain. Okay. A guy that if if he messes up the knee, and knees can be non-contact injuries. He just takes off, turns, and he's down. He's done for a year. I think you got a short week. You can't risk it.
Yeah, I would agree. I would agree with that, especially with how important Tyler Lockett is to their offense. And honestly, Tyler Lockett's had more bad weeks than good weeks. And
this is a smash spot, though.
Yeah, but it's he had 56 points one week, and then he had 40 points another week. And then a lot of the weeks have been like 5, 6, 11. So I think those two like mega like super slate breaking weeks is what's making his average per game 19.3. I think if you take those out, I think it'd be closer to 15.
Yeah.
But
we'll just presume that he's out. Since I kind of am leaning that way, and I think you are a little bit too.
Yeah, so I think I know where you're going with this one. It opens up a lot.
Yeah, it opens up some value. I do want to see what will help out if we just went down to Freddie's swing. He's going to take. He's done absolutely nothing all year. Lockett gets hurt, and he gets 4 targets, catches 3 of them.
Right.
Wasn't expected to get much run at all, but he's going to fill that spot because Metcalf is huge. And Moore is like 6'2", 230. He's a huge receiver. He's not Metcalf, but he's definitely an outside wide receiver. So given that those two guys will be primary outside, there's no one else that will fill that slot role. And that's about the only place that Arizona is their like most formidable. So their weakest thing so far, I think I can't remember. I think Beasley did really good against them. There was a couple of different guys in the slot this year.
Cole Beasley?
Yeah. Formed real well.
Yeah, Cole Beasley had 30 points against Arizona last week.
Yeah, Beasley, and then Crowder was the other one. He had 29 points. We know that Crowder at the beginning of the year was just feasting in the slot. But just looking at the matchups, I'm not saying that he's going to be dropped 30. But if he got 5 targets, 5, 6 targets, or even 5, 6 receptions, that would be wild.
Right.
At that $1,200 price tag.
So I'm looking at what we have left, and I'm trying to do some math and trying to figure out players I like that are cheap to where we can fit in DeAndre Hopkins and DK Metcalf. But with the math I'm doing in my head, I don't think that's possible. So
you would be correct.
Yes. So I think our best bet here is to pick Hopkins or Metcalf and then get 2 mid-priced guys. I'm partial to DeAndre Hopkins. I think he's the best wide receiver in the NFL, best wide receiver in the world. And there's not many players that are better than him. And he has a better matchup than DK Metcalf. So I'm picking Hopkins. Kirk, would you agree with that, or would you prefer DK?
So that is a coin flip. If Lockett plays, I want 0% of Metcalf. Even if he's out there as a decoy, they really figured out how to lock him down. And Patrick Peterson hasn't played that like lockdown cornerback this year, but it's just something they figured out.
Right. I mean, look, Patrick Peterson,
him to go from 4 points that game to dropping maybe like 40 this game, I just don't see it happening. Everyone knows how explosive he is. But if Lockett is out, I mean, if he got 15 targets, he's gonna smash.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But Hopkins has elite numbers against the Seattle team. The guy, it was a couple of years back, won the Millionaire Maker when he had the game stacked between Houston and Seattle. Basically, he won first and second place, which was wild because he basically built a lineup and then had Watson as his QB, and then built the same lineup and had Russell Wilson as his QB.
I do that every single week, but it never pays off like that.
Yeah. That week, Hopkins dropped 39. So his only 2 games versus Seattle, great history, 28-39. I think we can do it if you want to go ahead and put him in.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Then if salary doesn't go in our favor, we can pull back a little bit.
Since we just picked DeAndre Hopkins, we got 2 slots left. We don't have much money to spend. I like the build that we have now, but Kirk, where would you go?
So we were talking earlier that we wanted a kicker maybe in this matchup. So they're they're great prices on them. They got good averages on the year. One of the kickers will have 10 plus points. I think you'll probably need them. I don't think it's gonna be a captain kicker day.
Right.
But one thing I did notice when looking at it, Gonzalez has pretty good history. He scored 14, 4, 10, and 16. And so far this year, he scored 7 plus, which won't kill you, especially if the game plays a little bit slower than what we expect.
Right.
He's scored 7 plus in 8 of the 9 games this year. So he's very consistent. We also think this is the team that's going to score more points and move the ball, get more yards. Like I said, just last game, he had 16 points. They're on a roll this year. But yeah, just go ahead. There's only $200 difference. You can kind of pick and choose who you like. I don't think the 200 is going to kill you at the end of the day.
Right. So we have 9,700 left. So what I'm looking at, and I know you'll agree, we're going to put in Chris Carson here because we both think Tyler Lockett's going to be out. But if Tyler Lockett is not out, this gives us a lot of room to play with as well. If you wanted to, you could take Swain out and pay down somewhere else, pay up somewhere else. You even have enough money to take out Hopkins and put in Russell Wilson if you wanted to. You have a lot of room to work with this lineup that we built. I don't think personally this is the lineup I'm going to be putting into my big tournaments, but Kirk quite possibly could. We're still a day away. Injury report doesn't come out until about 6:30, 6:45, around that time. So we'll get a clearer picture tomorrow night. Keep a look at Tyler Lockett. Keep a look at Kenyon Drake and Chris Carson. Those are the 3 big injury concerns for this game tomorrow. And if all 3 of them are out, I think it opens up a lot of room everywhere else. If all 3 are in, I really like this lineup. Maybe just take out Swain and replace him with someone else that's just as cheap. With that being said, you got anything else, Kirk?
No, it looks like about it.
All right. And then one more question. So go over here to the spreadsheet that I made. As we can see, we have the captain price, flex price, week 7 score, average score in the week. Down here, I have the total and the spread. Kirk, what are your opinions on this from a betting perspective if someone wanted to bet on this game?
I think that it's going to be a lower 50-point game. Like I said, I think they're going to try to slow down the pace. All the running backs are healthier now. If all the running backs play, which I do believe they will, I just think he'll probably finish off maybe about 53 or so. You're picking and choosing between a late touchdown or not. But I would think the public's going to gravitate towards the over, which they have a lot this year. And rightfully so. A lot of these games have gone over when the weather's great. But I would wait for the public to bet it up to maybe 59 and then smash the under.
Right. Yeah, I like the over. I'm one of those guys who's like smash the over, hope the game goes like to overtime, and hopefully both teams have 40 points on both sides. And Kirk, do you think Seattle covers the spread, or do you think Arizona will beat that?
So I don't think Lockett's going to play, and I think we're going to see a banged up Chris Carson. So with that being said, it's just Arizona is way hotter. They have the momentum on their side. They are on the road, but Murray right now is just an unstoppable force. Drake looked good last game. Just Seattle has no answer for receivers, and that is the strength of Arizona. So I think Kirk's going to have a huge game. I think Hopkins is going to have a great game. I would take Arizona given the points.
Yeah, that's going to be a good game either way. I think. I think Seattle will win. I think they split the series this year. They go 1-1 against each other. It's just hard to beat Seattle at home, even if they are hurt. So that's just my opinion on it. So Kirk has the under and Arizona winning. I have the over and Seattle not covering. Sorry, I had to think about it for a second. So
just a thing off your statement. Seattle was up like 10 points with like 4 minutes left last time. So they should have won last game.
Right.
So that's why I think that Arizona's where you think they should split. I think Arizona should have lost that one, so they should come out and win this one.
That makes
sense.
And
the other thing is why does Russell Wilson and the Seahawks win at home?
Their fans. Yeah, you're right.
There we go. So I'm just a hotter, healthier team. Yeah, if 12th man was there, yeah. But it's
Falcons. Well, the Falcons got in trouble for a few years ago, pumping in crowd noise. You're allowed to do that this year. So, I mean, could work. All right, but that will be our video today. We'll be recording our Survivor picks, DraftKings picks, and our head-to-head in the coming days. Keep a lookout for that Friday or Saturday. Thank you all for tuning in and joining us today. That being said, unless Kirk has anything else, y'all have a good one. Let's get this money, guys.
Yep.